This was brought up yesterday. The
I'll
insect
make a man
tier
out
list.
of you from Mulan is goated.
Yeah, I'll make a man of you is that definitely is goated, but no, that song is just goated as well.
You think Disney would copyright you if you reacted to their saddest movies seen from Disney and Pixar?
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to post that at all. Oh God! Jesus
Animation just has that wonder aspect to it. It also has so much more style.
Yeah.
Especially with color and the designs.
Yo.
Anyway, Road to El Dorado is fucking goated.
Oh my.
Childhood classic.
Yes, bro. The city of golden hills in El Dorado, El Dorado, El Dorado.
Feel like Pharrell in 07 on my shoes, ice cream, make stars, stop them out, it's a man down. Baby Milo custom PC getting fanned out. Not from the block, I'm from the H and we don't play around. Catch him at a red light with a knife gun, we gon' spray him down.
Okay, chat, what do y'all think the worst insect is? What insect would y'all have at the top of the tier list? And I guess we're going off of, I guess, like how dangerous it is or something. Me personally, I think a lot of the chat can agree, spiders, okay? It don't matter how small the spider is or how big it is, it's just spiders in general are disgusting. There was literally like this big like bug. There was like this big random ass bug on the wall downstairs in my house. But it was like just chilling though. It wasn't like one of those like, it was just a big bug. I don't know what it was, but I wasn't scared to get it. I was like, oh shit, what the hell is that? He was just chilling. So I got like a little cardboard, had him crawling the cardboard. He was moving all slow. He was chilling. Took him outside, put him right on the grass. But if it's a spider, something in me flips where I'm just like, yo, that's just absolutely disgusting. Like I can't touch it. I can't mess with it. Probably because they move fast too. And like how they move too. Like they don't just move like regularly. They be like it's just
Insects are one of the most broken factions the game has ever
What's
seen.
so wired is the
Nowhere else
2019 version of The Lion King was hated but ended up
Terrible.
becoming the highest grossing animated movie
No,
of all time.
that's because
getting over $1 billion. Is that crazy or was it just nostalgia?
it was only because it was nostalgia. I can admit, even with all the like, shout out to all the black actors that they got for that new Lion King movie. They had Beyonce up in there. They had what's his name? Why am I blanking on his name? From ATL, I forgot his name. But they had him in there. They had Donald Glover. God, why did I draw a blank? He has like 3 different names, bro. Childish Gambino, Donald Glover, and then something else. But that movie was not. It just, compared to the original, it was just not as good. It just wasn't as good, bro. Shout out to everybody that was in that film. Shout out to Seth Rogen. He was a perfect cast for the fucking thing, but like no, the movie was just not it. And I think it was highly because of nostalgia. The same thing with The Jungle Book. The Jungle Book was kind of cool, but like it wasn't better than the original. And then they had another one that they did. I don't even remember.
else in nature will you find such an incredible concentration of abilities that are not only overpowered, but also extremely unique. Incredible concentration of abilities that are not only overpowered, but also extremely unique.
Wow.
It's tough to even know where to start when talking about what makes insects such a success.
Wait, new Lion King movie in 2024? Wait, what? Oh wait, Mufasa. It's supposed to be an origin story of like Mufasa.
Y'all ever seen that animated movie Soul?
Soul was absolutely, now that one was actually like, they were going for sad and it still like made me sad. Like it made me really, really sad.
Successful group, because in a lot of cases it's not just that their individual abilities are overpowered, but some of them feel like they should be mutually exclusive, since they're just insanely OP when used in combination with one another. You'll see what I mean once I get into the tier list, but first, a brief overview of the insect faction's general attributes and history.
But what are we rating it on? I feel like no matter what the rating is, if you going creepy, if you going scary, if you going ugly, if you going deadly, like spider has to be S tier. Spider has to be S tier because everybody's just scared of them. Moths are gross. Yeah, moths look disgusting too. Honestly, ants could be S tier too.
Lion King 2019. That movie was pretty good. I mean, it's the Og story and it was visually pleasing over hated film TBH.
I don't want to say it deserved the hate it got, because like it doesn't deserve hate, but it was just unnecessary. Like, I feel like a lot of remakes are unnecessary, like the Ghostbusters movies or the Charlie's Angels movies. They're just unnecessary, man. No, it's not that ants are scary, but ants are a problem. If we like ants, yo, it's hard to get once ants are like chilling in your crib or anywhere, like it's hard to get rid of them. So it's like they're just kind of annoying, and they just keep like the respawn rate is ridiculous, bro.
Insects were added to the game during the early Carboniferous expansion. The devs bumped up the atmospheric oxygen level, which allowed members of the arthropod faction to adopt larger sizes and more costly abilities. And while most of the arthropod player base was trying to dominate the land by leveling up their size, a small offshoot of the crustacean player base opted to forego the gigantism trait, and
Yo, what's the biggest insect?
instead used this oxygen bonus to unlock an ability never before seen in-game: flight. Because these new creatures were the very first to gain the ability to fly, the air became entirely their domain for the time being, and would remain that way until reptiles unlocked the ability several expansions later. Insects are
Beetle?
extremely diverse in their abilities and stat spreads. In fact, they're so diverse that it's impossible to include them all in a single video. I'll be keeping things fairly generalized, but truth be told, many of the groups I'll be discussing today
You looking
have so
clean,
many
though.
standout members that they could easily be an entire tier list in and of themselves. So it's a little tough to pin down their general attributes, but there are a few commonalities.
Okay.
Being members of the arthropod faction, all insects are granted the exoskeletal armor perk, which greatly raises their AC compared to soft-bodied builds of similar sizes, with the only downside being a massive reduction in those same defensive stats for a short time every time the player
Is that skin shedded?
levels up. This makes insects quite tanky on average, allowing them to excel in combat. The insect build also has access to the Compound Eyes perk, which grants them vastly improved awareness compared to
that's
other
not real.
arthropods like scorpions and centipedes. With 360-degree vision, their ability to avoid obstacles, dodge attacks, and pursue targets while flying is far superior to most other flyers.
Oh, I didn't even see
This
him.
enhanced perception perk is important because insects tend to have naturally high stealth. So in order to compete with other
the
insects,
movie kids wouldn't get it would only work for older teens/adults. Why? Because it talks about life and making every day worthwhile. Some people said the movie sucked cause it didn't feel like a Pixar movie.
I feel like they do a good job though of mixing it with like mixing adult themes with like kid shits as well. Wait, but people wasn't fucking with it?
builds, acute vision is required. We've only just scratched the surface of the insane abilities insects have access to though. For a more in-depth look, let's get into the tier list.
Okay.
At the
Oh my
bottom of the
gosh.
tier list we have
Oh my gosh, I remember at my mom's house, these things were annoying. It wasn't a lot of them, but I'd always see them every now and then.
Against 1 billion ants.
Y'all think? I mean, if they're biting me and shit, hell no. Like, hell no. I think eventually I'll be able to take care of them. Wait, y'all never seen these before? Bro, when I at my mom's house, I would be taking a shower and them shits would just be chilling on the wall, bro. Like, they like to be, I think, in like moist places and shit. They harm, like, I don't know about the word harmless, but like, I mean, I just be killing them though. Like when I was younger, I'd just be killing them. It wasn't like nothing crazy.
the Silverfish. The Silverfish is the most primitive insect build still in existence. It kind of blurs the line between what is and is not considered an insect, and not in a good way. Unlike other flightless insects, which decided
See, like, what? Like, this is crazy. This is the shit I'm talking about, ants. Like, this shit should put them in S tier. That's ridiculous tactics.
to respec and drop the flight ability in favor of more refined strategies, the Silverfish build actually never had access to it in the first place. Aside from having an exoskeleton, they don't really have any of the abilities that make insects powerful. They do not have wings and have essentially no combat abilities. They have fairly low defenses and get bodied left and right by pretty much everything.
See, that's what I was saying. They kind of just there to die, bro. They don't even be doing nothing.
With their only useful stat being their decently high movement speed. Their special ability allows them to gain XP from eating cellulose and lignin, meaning they can farm XP from wooden structures, which normally don't grant any experience. This ability would be fairly powerful in forest biomes, but because they're such weak combatants, they tend to actually stick to
Those frogs gotta be poison, huh? Like, what is that color?
urban areas. feeding on things like paper and cloth, in the relative safety of houses, apartments, and office spaces. Even there,
Bro, that frog looked like bathing apes, bro.
they aren't completely safe though. And while no build is ever truly safe in the insect meta, the Silverfish's extreme lack of useful abilities places it firmly in F tier. That's honestly the only insect build
I'm not gonna lie. I feel like spiders are gonna be in S tier. Once we get there, I'm done. I can't watch all this shit, man.
I believe deserves
so
an F tier
disgusting.
ranking. Most insects are quite viable, and even the less viable ones tend to have at least a few useful things going for them, even if those things aren't necessarily broken. First, in D tier, we have the Phasmid build, which includes walking sticks and leaf mimics.
Damn.
These builds sport what are unquestionably some of the most impressive camouflage abilities in the entire game.
D tier though?
Second only to color-changing builds like the octopus and chameleon.
Wait, that's not sped up?
Entire game. Second
Don't play with that shit, man. Yo, Tay, there's something on your wall. Don't play, bro. I'll put a hole in my wall without looking, man.
only to color-changing builds like the octopus and chameleon. As impressive as these are, though, the question I constantly end up asking is this really necessary? Because with the exception of insects which deliberately lower their stealth as part of the aposematic coloration strategy, insects as a whole already have an above-average stealth, and are usually able to maintain this while still speccing into other equally impressive abilities.
True.
Their camouflage can only take them so far. While they're near undetectable while remaining motionless, walking sticks still need to move
I'm acting like Ron Weasley. Yo, no, 'cause what he said in that movie in the Chamber of Secrets, in the Chamber of Secrets, was actually facts. Why is it always spiders? Why is it always spiders? Why couldn't it be follow the butterflies? Like, that's what I was thinking too when I was younger. It's like, yo, why it gotta be spiders? It could be anything. It could be any type of bug. Why is it always spiders, bruh?
to find food. And while they do mimic the movement of a swaying leaf or branch, this certainly isn't perfect.
That's why they move like that.
In fact, if they're ever caught in an environment where camouflage doesn't match as well, their instincts to sway and move
I ain't gonna lie, now he looking goofy. They'll never know what I am. I could be a leaf. I could be a stick in the wind. Bro, you're on my counter, dude. I see your legs, bro.
can actually end up giving their
He'll never
position
see
away
me.
even
Yeah.
more,
Yeah.
rather than aiding
Yeah.
their attempts to hide. Some Phasmids do possess chemical defenses, but as we'll see further up the tier list, this attack is quite mild compared to the heat some other insects are packing.
Oh, he don't even care.
Phasmids have a similar game plan to sloths,
What the
complete
hell?
with all the major flaws this strategy is riddled with. Although at least Phasmids don't completely forego all common sense and make a dangerous trek to the forest floor once a week just to poop.
Moths
Next
and... Oh, crack. Here we go. Moths and butterflies. Butterflies are so pretty, bro. Moths are, you know, they kind of just fuzzy. They just kind of too fuzzy for me.
In D tier, we have the Lepidopterans, the faction which includes moths, butterflies, and skippers. At first
Skippers?
glance, these may seem like absolute bottom tier builds.
Hell
They're
no.
among the most vulnerable builds in the game when it comes to combat, with extremely squishy defensive stats and utterly abysmal offensive abilities.
But the thing is, who really wants to hurt flies, though, you know? I mean, not flies, butterflies. Who really wants to hurt a butterfly? So I feel like, you know, people just be... I feel like even the insects just be chilling with them. Whenever insects be seeing other, like, butterflies, they be like, oh, look at that. Look at that. He just chilling, bro. He just be vibing, bro.
Many of the larval forms of these builds are 100% defenseless and have a mobility stat in the single digits. Literally the freest kills in the game.
Stop, you're hurting him!
However, the Lepid player base is quite crafty and has come up with a few ways of at least sort of mitigating their many weaknesses.
No, but it's kind of crazy because they literally transform. Like, they go Super Saiyan and turn into a butterfly. Like, that's crazy.
Caterpillars and adult lepids alike can adopt quite convincing disguises, some designed to help them blend in, and some
I be
designed
touching
to
butterflies
intimidate.
too. What the fuck is... It looks like it... It has a snake head.
Disguises, some designed to help them blend in, and some designed to intimidate. Granted, these strategies often don't hold up against high intelligence builds, but it does help. Some caterpillars spec into quite potent defenses, like spines and toxins, which make them simply not worth the potential damage to take on.
Now, I'll be like, I'll pick up a caterpillar and like put it in the grass or like move it out of the way and stuff like that, but that's... Ooh, God, oh no.
And And credit where credit is due, even though they still are fairly
How do they start off so ugly but turn into something so beautiful?
defenseless, butterflies and moths do have excellent mobility, and can fly much greater distances than most insect builds. This enables them to avoid high conflict areas of the map,
what is
and
he
reach
eating?
higher quality loot that might be too rare for most players to rely on.
Those berries?
Their massive wings, in addition to being highly
Yo, look at its legs.
customizable for a variety of stealth or intimidation purposes, also just make them look much larger than insects of comparable body sizes, which helps dissuade attacks. But ultimately, leopards still take plenty of L's, and most high-tier insect builds have quite oppressive matchups against them.
Yo,
So they're definitely a below-average faction.
that was a bat.
That's actually it for D tier, and I know it might seem like we're moving up the tier list quickly, but again, insects are a massively successful faction, and are going to be concentrated in the higher tiers.
Yeah.
At the bottom of
Cockroach.
C tier, we have the Cockroach.
Ugh.
The Cockroach is the ultimate survivor, which opted to spec into mobility, stealth, and a multitude of elemental resistances
they definitely
in
fast.
lieu of any offensive abilities. While they don't pack much heat,
Oh
their
my
flat
God,
shape
okay.
allows them to easily wedge themselves into
Ah!
locations that are extremely difficult for other players to attack them in. They're rather clumsy flyers, but they do have an above-average ground movement speed, enabling them to quickly scurry to cover
God,
if
you're
they see
so
a predator
disgusting.
player
I'm so
approaching.
sorry. Oh my God.
However, when caught out in the open or backed into a corner,
Please
they're
kill
fairly
it.
helpless and easily one of the
Oh,
most vulnerable
God.
builds in the entire
eat
insect
it.
faction.
Eat it. Just kill it.
They're
Thank
also
you.
somewhat carried by human mains, making temperate and tundra servers viable for them, because really, as impressive as their toxin and radiation resistance abilities are, they're quite vulnerable to the cold, and would still be mostly confined to jungle servers if not for humans unlocking the fire control ability. The biggest variants may be able to tank 1 or 2 hits, but even
Ooh.
then, with no way to fight back, they're still pretty screwed if they fail to outright escape a fight.
Oh.
Next in
Earwig? Why is it called that?
C tier, we have the Earwig, a
Someone said, I'm eating and I'm unbothered.
fearsome-looking generalist build, which appears to have a giant pair of mandibles on its rear end, called Circe. As fearsome as these Circe Forceps are, if we actually check the Earwig's base stats, we quickly notice that, just like all of its other stats, its power stat is actually quite mediocre.
Oh, wow.
As menacing as the Circe are, the actual piercing damage they can deal is fairly minimal, and can even be deflected by the most basic of armor. And
Wow.
even against builds without armor, the damage is so low that larger builds still don't really need to
These are in pools a lot, but they're not even like that. Their weapon literally does nothing.
be wary of approaching an Earwig, and can attack without
Stink
restraint.
bugs are useless.
Still, just because they can doesn't mean they do, as the Earwig's intimidation factor alone is oftentimes enough to protect it from conflict.
I mean, that looks
And credit
smooth.
where
I ain't
credit
gonna
is
lie.
due, the Forceps are actually fairly decent in matchups against soft-bodied insects,
Okay.
and allow the Earwig to carry their targets much better than they could with their jaws.
Okay.
And while it may seem silly to have opted
Wow.
for rear-facing
Whoa.
weapons instead of
Holy
the more
shit.
typical forward-facing ones like mandibles and rostrums, the position does actually serve a purpose, in that it allows earwigs far greater access to burrows and tight spaces, where they can hide out and avoid conflict altogether. Of all of the weapons insects have access to, Circe might be some of the most unorthodox, which probably contributes to its ability to intimidate other players. However, I think to get out of mid-tier, earwigs need to actually have the ability to back up their threat display.
Yeah.
They would do well to spec into some sort of venom. Venom-infused stings are a fairly common attribute for
Yeah,
insects,
that's true.
so this feels like a bit of a missed opportunity. So, while certainly a viable mid-tier, don't overestimate this build's abilities.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, because at first glance I saw them, grasshoppers, like, they get out of there. Grasshoppers, crickets, they get out of there. Their mobility gotta be, like, skyrocket.
At the top of C tier, we've got the Orthopterans, including grasshoppers, crickets, and katydids. These are the first mobility-centric builds on our list. While they're quite capable flyers, their true power comes from their saltatorial hind legs rather
Yep.
than their wings.
Yep.
Flight is an excellent defensive ability, as it allows the user to get out of reach of an attack's range. But this utility is lessened if their ability to get airborne has too much startup lag. And so instead of using their wings to get themselves up into the air, a powerful jump enables the Orthopteran mains to escape vertically at instant speed. Their excellent vision makes it extremely difficult to get within striking range without alerting them. And because their jump has such
Are you sure that nigga kinda close? Hello?
excellent frame data, landing an ambush strike on an Orthopteran can feel near impossible at times.
What?
excellent frame data, landing an ambush strike on an Orthopteran can feel near impossible at times. And even if a player does manage to secure a grab, their powerful hind legs can function as quite an effective combo breaker.
Oh,
The
like a
spines
horse!
on their legs augments the damage their kicks can deal, meaning that if a grasshopper can tank the first few hits of an ambush attack, they may be able to turn the tide of a confrontation and escape after dealing serious damage to the attacker. With that said, I think there are a few flaws in their strategy which I think keeps them out of the upper tiers. Grasshoppers can jump so far that there's really no way of knowing what sort of situation they're about to put themselves in.
Damn.
In a similar manner to the flying fish, using such a drastic escape option can sometimes end up putting you in a worse position than you were before. Especially if your local meta has a lot of spider players, and although they do present a challenge,
Yo, I screamed and like some spit out of my hand and I thought it was a spider. Oh my god.
most predator players aren't disrupted by the grasshopper's kicks, and can either
I hate how the brain works, bro. Like, you see something that's like disgusting to you, and then your brain's like, oh my god, I think it's on your leg. I think it's on her leg. I think it's on your leg, bro.
tank the damage outright or one-hit the grasshopper before it even has a chance to retaliate.
That's what was on. It was like something like this that was on my wall. It was something like this that was on my wall because it had like something like spiky or some shit like on its back like that.
Bottom of B tier, we have the Hemipterans, a diverse order of insects with a few things in common.
Yep, it was this right here.
Including generally having high defense and being somewhat shield-shaped. However, the most notable thing is that rather than slicing or pinching mouth parts, the Hemiptera build opts for a piercing rostrum, perfect for puncturing through tough surfaces. For the majority of Hemipteran builds, this allows them to farm XP from sources that are normally hard to access, like the energy-dense sap inside trees and stems, or the starch inside of seeds. However, there are some Hemipterans which use their sharp rostrum to deliver a venomous bite that is able to pierce through
his
armored
design
targets.
is fire.
Their venom is powerful enough to one-shot just about any other insect, and can even deal severe damage to larger builds. The only major shortcoming here is that these so-called assassin bugs tend to actually have fairly low stealth, opting for the aposematic intimidation defense I mentioned earlier. And on top of all that, they have fairly low mobility, making actually—
See, yeah, it was moving. Is that a spider? It was moving like super slow, like it couldn't move. Like it was just slow as hell.
ambushing another player kind of difficult if they're actually paying enough attention to simply dodge the attacks and flee. Some do break this trend though, and opt for both better camouflage and high aquatic mobility, making them some of the most fearsome aquatic builds in the game. On the herbivore side of things, Hemipterans tend to fare a bit worse. They usually still have fairly low mobility and low stealth, and their defenses may be higher than the average,
What is
but are
that?
nowhere near as impenetrable as some of the builds higher on this list. They tend to rely on a chemical defense similar to some Phasmids, which is where they
Bro,
get the
stop
name
playing,
stink bugs
man.
from.
Y'all are
However,
weird.
similar to Phasmids, these defenses also tend to be a bit
Oh
lacking
my
and often fail to
God!
deter attackers. So certainly a group with some standout members and fine for XP farming, but still nothing too broken. And topping off B tier, we have the
Lace
Neuroptera,
front.
a rather clumsy build with some pretty pathetic looking
Stealth?
base stats. Genuinely one of the least agile flyers
How the
in
hell
the
is that
entire
stealthy?
game. However, looking at the
It's
final
got a whole
form of this build,
bro.
one of
It
the
has a whole blunt on its back. What?
least agile flyers in the entire game. However, looking at the final form of this build paints a highly misleading picture of its capabilities. The larval form, which is the form they spend the vast majority of their time as, is a brutally effective predator build for any player who prefers the camping playstyle. Taking a look at the larva's stats, we see that they have incredibly high power and stealth for their size. Antlions have a devastating, venomous bite, which they use to one-shot unsuspecting players before
Why isn't the other nigga running, bro?
draining all of their life points
He,
with
like,
their hollow
traumatized.
jaws. Because of their ability to construct pitfall traps, their passive stealth rating is extremely high, making their
Yo, thank
ambush
you for the
playstyle
sub, man.
unbelievably
Sky Live, I
effective.
see you.
As if escape wasn't hard
Ow!
enough,
Oh my
once
God,
the prey
I
gets
just need
caught in their trap, the
thinking something
antlion
is on
even
my
has the
hand.
ability to launch projectiles to stun its target, making escape a near impossibility. I have an entire video dedicated to the overpowered abilities of Neuropteran larvae, but in short, they are what the Earwig pretends to be. If you took the Earwig Circe, put them in front and made them sharper and gave them deadly venom to boot, you'd have an antlion.
I ain't gonna lie, that dude, that other bug was just standing there watching. Like, what was he thinking?
So why the weak adult form?
Oh no, I know.
Having
This.
spent all their evolution points optimizing their larval form, they spend hardly any time at all as adults. They don't even have the ability to eat in this form,
Rotary.
and really only exist to be a vessel that allows players to find each other and complete the mating questline, something they lack the ability to do in their much less mobile.
Wait, your friend died last year to a bullet ant, so his family got his ashes and his mom accidentally dropped them. So she... What? Okay, what is this donation? Okay, chat, like, listen to this. What? My friend died last year to a bullet ant, so his family got his ashes and his mom accidentally dropped them. So she killed herself, and his sister is the only one left. She also tried to kill herself from a 5-story building and survived. She's in the hospital right now. What? I'm sorry, but that's a crazy transition to, like, from bullet ant. Because, like, it's, you know, it was, like, relatable with what we're watching because, you know, bullet ant. And then you went on this whole, like, dump, bro. Holy shit. I mean, I hope the best for her.
Larval.
Who are you in this situation? I guess you said you're the friend. Okay. Yo, Beast Mode, thank you for the sub. Can't forget this iconic clip. What is this?
When Godzilla's coming, y'all be tripping. I seen the movie. You be
oh yeah.
Can't forget this iconic clip
of the iguana. That iguana chase. I remember this shit. Wasn't there like a Snoop Dogg voiceover? And I know X did one too. Can never forget that.
So while I do think it'd be more impressive if they didn't take such a massive cut to their power level during their final level up, there's no denying that for the vast majority of their playtime, these builds are an absolute menace to encounter.
Yeah. Ah, the praying mantis.
Here we have a personal favorite of mine, the Mantis.
The Mantis cool.
Mantises have a fairly straightforward playstyle consisting of slashing and grabbing their targets using powerful spiked raptorial forelimbs. If we take a look at the Mantis' stats, we see that the Mantis has one of the highest base power stats of any non-venomous insect.
Those are some good stats.
It also has a stealth stat similar to that of a walking stick, which it desperately needs in order to be able to get
I'm surprised this ain't
S
tier, to be honest.
Its clumsy flight and slow ground movement speed makes chasing prey basically impossible.
Oh shit, never mind.
However, what they lack in movement speed, they easily
Dude can't even do like a simple jump, bro. He just fell back.
Make up for with strike speed. The Mantis' strike is lightning quick, to the point that it's easily able to hit targets that are normally considered hopelessly evasive.
God!
As powerful as these strikes are, one weakness of the strategy is that the grappling attack doesn't immobilize the target, and actually brings them within range of a counterattack. And while the Mantis' large size enables it to tank most counterattacks, attacking a venomous target can end up being a serious blunder for a Mantis player.
Oh shit.
So definitely a powerful high-tier predator, but not one that's so invincible that Mantis mains can get careless. Next in A tier, we have the flies.
I hate flies so much.
This does get a bit confusing due to the amount of other builds that use the...
Oh my god, there's so many flies. I just hate them all. I don't care what they are. Just if they're a fly, except butterflies. I just hate them all. Holy shit.
Word fly in their name. But this group, the true flies, are defined by a very specific feature. True flies only...
Deer fly? No, that's ridiculous. Hold on. Mayfly, dragonflies are annoying too. But what is a damn selfie fly? Selfie fly. Mosquitoes are fucking annoying. Dobson fly, owl fly, caddis fly, scorpion fly. I didn't even know there was a scorpion fly. Lantern fly, deer fly. The fact that there's a house fly is that's just ridiculous. Bot fly.
This does get a bit confusing due to the amount of other builds that use the word fly in their name. But this group, the true flies, are defined by a very specific feature. True flies only have 2 wings. This might seem like a major trade-off, but while it does leave them more vulnerable to having their flight ability disabled from taking damage, the perk they unlock in return is more than worth the risk. Instead of a second pair of wings, flies swap them out for halteres, a sensory structure that grants flies an insanely powerful buff to their aerial maneuverability and their evasion. Their superior aerobatics make them all but impossible to land a hit on midair.
They're so cocky, bro. They'll literally land on you and be like, yeah, try. Try, bro. Try.
And
wait, they try to bite people? I thought when flies be landing, I guess it depends on what type of fly it is. Because I know houseflies, they like, I think they said every time they land, they like either throw up or shit or something. It's one of those. So one of those, man.
Also enables predator fly variants, such as the robber fly, to launch incredibly precise attacks mid-flight, and take down targets that would normally be too powerful to confront head-on, but are unable to
Oh, look at its tail.
counterattack during flight. However, most flies are either scavengers or parasites, using their quick mobility and superior reaction speed to weave past the defenses and avoid the sweeping counterattacks of larger players. While they do have an extremely short lifespan, there's no denying that they make the most of the time they do have, and are one of the most efficient and evasive builds in the entire game. But while flies are excellent aerial combatants, they are no match for the ultimate aerial hunter build.
Dragonflies!
The Dragonfly is similar to the Crocodile in that it is one of the most well-optimized PvP builds that has ever existed in the game.
Okay.
It's already such an efficient build that across several balance patches and game expansions, the Dragonfly has seen very few changes to its core strategy. They simply aren't necessary, as the Dragonfly is already equipped to deal with just about anything the devs throw at it. So what is it about the Dragonfly that has given it such a competitive edge? Dragonflies have the best aerial maneuverability of any build in the game, and the highest top flight speed of any insect.
Yeah, nah, them niggas are fast,
Unlike
bro.
most insects, dragonflies have spec'd into the ability to move their wings independently of each other, which grants them the ability to move in any direction without needing to turn and face that direction.
Wait, each wing can move individually?
Each other, which grants them the Dragonflies have spec'd into the ability to move their wings independently of each other, which grants them the ability to move in any direction without needing to turn and face that direction, meaning they can strafe mid-flight and even fly backwards. This ability makes their flight more energetically demanding than it is for other insects.
See, it's like, why do they do that? Because, like, even the ducks is getting annoyed. What is it doing?
In any direction without needing to
It's just being annoying.
Turn and face that direction, meaning they can strafe mid-flight and even fly backwards.
He's literally trolling him, bro.
This ability makes their flight more energetically demanding than it is for other insects. So this is a high commitment, high...
Oh, I heard about that. That some aircrafts were based on, like, dragonflies, on, like, how they fly and move and shit.
...reward playstyle. In order to ensure a proper payoff for their incredible agility, dragonflies have also spec'd into what is arguably the best vision of any arthropod. Extremely large, high-resolution eyes that take up basically their entire head, granting them full 360-degree vision. This allows them to track all potential targets around them with ease, and allows them to see attacks coming long before they're actually at risk of getting hit. Unlike many of the other builds on this list, which either have a powerful larval form but a weak adult form, or a powerful adult form that can only achieve this after enduring an extremely vulnerable early game, the Dragonfly is a high-tier predator in both forms. While everyone knows they dominate the skies when they reach their max level, what you might not know is that as nymphs, dragonflies are one of the most vicious aquatic builds in the game, able to one-shot similarly sized fish and amphibian players. Now, while it was tempting to put dragonflies in S tier, they do have a few shortcomings.
Okay, tell us about it.
While they are generally able to see approaching predators before it's too late, they aren't particularly good at avoiding accidentally flying into dangerous situations. They're easily trapped by spiderwebs and are often snatched out of the air when flying too close to another player.
Damn, that nigga did that.
In addition, dragonflies cannot walk, meaning that their energy-expensive flight ability is their only option if they need to reposition themselves.
They can't walk? I did not know that. They put all their points into flight that they can't walk?
Meaning that their energy expense...
Look at them just getting bitch, bro. Fly, fly,
the flight
fly,
ability
pussy,
is their
fly,
only
pussy.
option if they need to reposition themselves. Not that devastating of a weakness, but it's enough that this ancient build can't quite break into S tier.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Not being able to walk is crazy. Beetles?
First in S tier, we have the Beetle.
Yeah, beetles are kind of scary. That looks like a fucking... It looks like a hamster with a shield on, bro.
Is the epitome of the insect build. A bunch of extraordinarily powerful abilities that seem like they shouldn't really function properly when used in conjunction with each other, yet somehow actually end up synergizing unbelievably well. Beetles are the premier tanks of the insect faction, with an outer cuticle sturdy enough to deflect just about any attack with ease. It has such a high AC that it can confidently plow through a swarm of aggressive ants without taking any damage, something that even many reptiles and amphibians can't get away with. Now, typically when a build is heavily invested into defenses like this, it has to make a lot of sacrifices in its other stats.
Right.
This is the opposite of what we see in the Beetle build, as in addition to being the most heavily armored insect in the game, it also excels in several other metrics. The most obvious of which is its power stat, beetles can obliterate their enemies in combat using powerful jaws and explosive chemical weapons. Their ability to bulldoze opponents with their forward-facing weaponry is hard to overstate, but in my opinion, their real damage potential comes from beetles which possess the ability to blast their attackers with a toxic or acidic chemical burst. But that's not where the craziness stops, because although you'd probably expect a high-power tank to be a slow, lumbering build, beetles also possess the top terrestrial movement speed of any insect. And if that weren't enough, despite often having heavy horns or giant mandibles, packing a tank full of noxious chemicals, being clad in heavy armor, and strapped with enough muscle to move objects far, far above their weight class, the beetle is still able to fly without much issue. Now, they did sacrifice one of their sets of wings for additional armor, so they can't perform the advanced aerobatics that dragonflies and houseflies can.
Okay.
But the ability to get from point A to point B via flight is still extremely valuable, both for escaping danger and for reaching valuable points of interest. In short, beetles have essentially every ability they could ask for. They are an amalgamation of everything that makes the insect faction so powerful, and so it's no surprise that beetle species comprise a whopping 25% of all species in the game. They're so versatile and adaptable that a beetle player can find a niche in essentially any server. They truly are the ultimate insect and deserve a tier list of their own. As incredible as this combination of powerful abilities is, ultimately the beetle is still lacking the most powerful insect ability of them all, eusociality.
What is that?
Now, I have an entire video dedicated to explaining just how broken this ability is, and there's no question that the insects that incorporate it into their game plan simply dominate all in their path.
Eusociality? Termite!
Now, technically, termites are a variant of the cockroach build, but they have such a unique and powerful playstyle that lumping them in with mid-tier cockroaches seems disingenuous.
They deep, bro.
The termite queen is the longest-lived insect in the game, with a lifespan near that of a human or elephant. And it spends these many decades building one of the most powerful
oh my god, it looks like a herd of buffaloes.
Armies the game has ever seen. These termite armies are able to construct some of the most well-fortified bases in the game, giving even beaver dams and human skyscrapers a run for their money. Not only do they build incredible bases, but termites literally transform the map in order to better optimize their colony's ability to gather resources. They will pave paths and build ramps and bridges to important resource
deposits. They got highways and everything.
This efficiency allows them to support a huge army and command vast territories. Termites, despite being most closely related to cockroaches, have a combat style that is actually most similar to the spitting cobra, which, if you've seen my snake tier list, you'd know is also a top tier build.
What's happening?
Termites can accurately fire acid from a needle-like
they got the grip on
face,
them,
dealing heavy damage to anything caught in its blast. Some termites opt for giant slicing jaws instead of acid sprayers on their head, and are crucial for defending their base from an onslaught of invaders. Termites are a somewhat imbalanced build, with crazy powerful forward-facing weaponry, but extremely vulnerable abdomens with no armor at all.
Big ass head.
This means that oftentimes, despite a larger size, they are quickly overwhelmed if they get outnumbered and flanked. Not usually an issue, as termites are proficient at defending in a phalanx formation, which covers the weak points of individual members. So certainly not a bad enough weakness to negate the top tier status of eusociality. But this weakness does mean that I gotta give the top spot to the other eusocial insect faction.
Oh god. I knew it! Ants, bro! They too deep, man. They're too deep.
Is the group of insects that includes ants, bees, and wasps. Unlike termites, these insects are a bit more well-rounded, having decent armor all over, and tend to have both forward and rear-facing weaponry, with most Hemipterans packing strong jaws and a venomous stinger. The wasp's signature buzz and yellow banding are so infamous that almost every other insect faction in the game has at least a few members trying to replicate it to gain advantage on their own intimidation checks. Eusocial Hemipterans can build extremely complicated structures without the use of tools. They can launch organized attacks containing thousands of combatants. They can capture prisoners, cross major barriers, and control territory to an absolutely incredible degree. Thousands of players will lay down their lives in defense of a colony if need be. Ants in particular are masters of both empire building and military tactics, often having to wage war on multiple fronts while undertaking large construction and agricultural projects in their own territory. So, while beetles may take up a larger percentage of total insect variants, termites and ants both vastly outnumber any other insect build. And while I don't base my tier lists purely off of population, there's no denying that the abundance of these insects is due to their incredibly powerful strategies and their ability to bend their environment to their advantage.
I said
in
same
fact,
thing.
the only genuine threats to you social players tend to be invaders disguising themselves as members of their own colony.
Alright, yep.
But are really there to disrupt, steal, and attack.
Oh my
many
god, that's... Okay. Yep, we're done. Yep, we're done. Obviously, ants are number one. I knew it from... Stop doing that shoulder shit.